बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम वसल्लल्लाहु अला नबिय्यिल करीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली. The theme for the present talk is status of women in Islam. I would like to begin from today's report. This report I read in the Times of India, dated February 28. That is today's issue. So, in the today's issue of the Times of India, in its Delhi Times, there is a report about a famous American feminist. Her name is Gloria Steinem. She is a very famous feminist, Gloria Steinem. So she is a great advocate of gender equality, but she admits that it is not very easy due to differences in biological structure of the both sexes. So it is not an easy task. So she says in her recent book about these biological differences between the two sexes, she says, it is decreed by nature, but we are changing it. It is decreed by nature, but we are changing it. I would like to say that this kind of thinking is quite unnatural. The question is not about gender equality. If you see the nature, and if you are a realist, and you must know that you cannot change the nature's plan. Even if you can change, the whole balance will be breakdown. There would be breakdown in the whole balance, and everything will be shattered. So it is disastrous. So according to the God's creation plan, the important thing is not gender equality, but it is gender complementarity. The most important thing, according to the natural plan, is not equal role, but supplementary role. I can say that according to the natural plan or creation plan, the right thing is that both have a supplementary role rather than equal role. there are field, different field, different activities. So we want different kind of qualities, different kind of capacities. So God created both with different potentials, with different qualities. So according to the creation plan of God, the, the more important thing is to play complementary role or supplementary role rather than equal role. This is very important. By this, we can establish a better society. Division of labor is a very well-known principle. In every factory, in every office, you can see that they are running their system according to this principle, division in labor. So this is a natural principle. Division of labor is natural principle. So gen- gender equality is a wrong principle, unnatural principle. The correct principle or natural principle is supplementary role rather than equal role. Then these people are obsessed with workplace. They want to provide same workplace for the both sexes. It is also wrong. According to the initial plan, the thing is not workplace, but the most important thing is the will to work. The will to work. If people have will to work, they have a spirit of work, then in every field they will be successful. Simply placing people in one job is not enough, is not good. So more important is not workplace, but more important is to inculcate a spirit of work among them. Here I would like to give an example, a historical example. You know, in America there was a great scientist. His name is Thomas Alva Edison. He died in 1931. It is well known that Thomas Alva Edison was failure in education. He failed to complete his schooling because his teacher found him retarded. The teacher of Thomas Alva Edison found him retarded. So he refused to give him, refused to admit him in his school. So Thomas Alva Edison failed to complete his schooling. In this sense, he was an uneducated person. Then what happened? The mother of Edison, her name was Nancy. took the charge. She decided to teach her son. Nancy inculcated the spirit of work. In Edison's word, it was unfailing, unfailing self-confidence. Unfailing self-confidence. So Nancy inculcated the spirit of self-confidence in her son. Although Edison failed to find admission in school, but her mother successfully established her home as a school. And after great labor, Edison emerged as one of the greatest scientists. He was able to invent more than 1,000 items in electronics, in electricity, in telephone. Edison was able to invent more than 1,000 items in electronics, in electricity, in telephone, in communication. So, workplace is not important. Most important thing is spirit to work, will to work. So Nancy, the mother of Edison, established a school at her home. Her home became a school, and she educated her son. She inculcated the spirit of work in her son, and the result was miraculous. The result was miraculous. So it is not workplace that is important. It is the most important thing is spirit of work, will to work. So we have to inculcate this spirit among all men as well as among women, both. Then there is a very there is a well-known example, historical example in Islamic history, that is Aisha. Aisha was wife of the Prophet, and she lived as a housewife. At that time, there were no schools and no colleges, no university. So her home was her school. The Prophet tried to inculcate in her the spirit of work. And you know, the history of Islam tells us that Aisha was the wisest person among all the companions. Aisha was able to serve up to near about 50 years. She was able to produce a generation, although She was staying at her home, but she was able to do a great job, a universal job. Anyone can read her seerah. For example, Sirat Aisha, compiled by Sayyid Sulaiman Nadwi. Also, I have gave the detail of her services in my book, Aurat Memar Insaniyat, Woman, the Builder of Humanity. So I can say that all these obsessions are simply are baseless. People are trying to give women same to put women in the same work work same workplace. This is not important. The most important thing is to inculcate the spirit of work, the will to work. There are thousand and thousand women and men both who were who failed to find high education. They were born in poor family, but after labor, after struggle, they became great people. So this is so the most important thing in life is intellectual development. These feminists always talk about gender equality. I think that most important thing is gender enlightenment, gender awakening. Most important thing is gender awakening, gender enlightenment, the education. Equality is a relative term. Equality is a relative term. In life, there is no equality. One philosopher has rightly said that nature abhors uniformity. Nature abhors uniformity. When in nature there is no equality, how you can establish equality in the life? But in fact, in nature there is inequality. Here I would like to say that difference is not an evil. Difference is difference is very important because it is difference that creates challenges, competition, and it is competition and challenge through which we enjoy all those progress and development. So without difference, you cannot achieve all these progress. Difference creates challenges, and challenge leads to development and progress. So difference is not an evil. Difference is a blessing. Then there is a some people talk about polygamy. That in Islam there is polygamy. Polygamy. A man can marry 4 women. The it is not true picture. Polygamy in Islam is an exception rather than rule. In Islam, polygamy is an exception rather than rule. It is permitted only in such situation where there, there, the women are in surplus. When, especially after war, when women are in surplus, so Islam allows polygamy. And if you see, there is no other option. After the Second World War, women became surplus in German society. So what happened? There were men became fewer, and women became surplus in the society. So what happened? Women failed to find a pair, a spouse. So in German cities, people saw this kind of board before the houses. Wanted an evening guest. Wanted an evening guest. It means that at that time, German found the solution in sexual anarchy. It is sexual anarchy, clearly. So in such a situation when women are in surplus, there are two options: polygamy or sexual anarchy. Islam opts for polygamy in such a situation, and other people opts for sexual anarchy. And I think that in such a situation, polygamy is a better option, a better choice. Then there is a question of talaq. People say that in Islam, man has right to talaq, but women don't have this right. Here also, people don't know the fact. There is a well-known principle that is called nikah-e-tafweez. There are two kinds of nikah in Islam: general nikah and nikah-e-tafweez. In general nikah, it is true that only man has the right to give talaq. In such a situation, for a woman, there is right of khula. So khula means woman can find separation through court. So in general nikah, woman has also the right to separation, the right of separation, but through court. But if the nikah is nikah tafweez, then woman has equal right, just like man. In nikah tafweez, there is no difference. So if any woman want this kind of equality, he can adopt the method of nikah tafweez. So here she is free to adopt this kind of nikah. So I think that all these things are simply misunderstanding. Islamic law in this regard is based on nature and not on discrimination. This is the basic principle. You must know that Islamic law in this regard is based on nature and not on discrimination. So first of all, you have to know what is nature's scheme, what is the creation plan of God. So Islamic law in this regard is just in accordance with the nature. Here Islamic law is just in accordance with the law of nature. This is the only difference between Islamic law and other law. It is wrong to say that Islamic law is based on discrimination. No. In fact, the Islamic law is based on natural laws. So there is no injustice between the two sexes. There is no discrimination between the two sexes. It is wrong to say that there are injustice or discrimination. No. All the law of Islam, including those laws that are, that are related to men, are based on nature. Then you can see the result. What happened in Western society after adopting these laws, these unnatural laws? There are many, many problems. Broken homes, separation, divorce, and quarrel between husband and wife. So many problems. This, and it is a fact that Western law has destroyed the balance among both the sexes. And the whole society is paying the price. There are violence, there are hate, there are broken homes, there are unmarried couples, there are fatherless boys, all these things you can find. So you have to see the result. Gender equality or all these things sound good, but the result is negative. The result is negative because these laws based are not based on nature. You cannot ignore the nature. You have to adjust with nature. Nowadays, people prefer love marriages as against to arranged marriages. But see the result, see the record. What is happening in our present life? Record show that more than half of these so-called love marriages are unsuccessful. More than half of those so-called love marriages are, are failure. So why this negative result? Because it's against the law of nature. They are not following the law of nature. In every aspect of life, you have to see, first of all, you have to see the nature's scheme, the creation plan of God. We are here on this planet Earth. This Earth and this universe was not created by us. We are not the creator of this world. The world was created by God. So we have to know the creation plan of God, the law of nature. We cannot ignore this fact that we are not the creature, we are not the creator of this world. So we have to adjust with the creation plan of God. We cannot create a new world. We cannot create a new natural laws. So the only realistic approach is to follow the law of nature, to behave in accordance with the law of nature. And Islam is a religion of nature. Islam was sent by God Himself. God created our world, God created man and woman, and it is God who sent this religion. Islam is a revealed religion. Islam is religion revealed by God. So here you can see that the lawgiver and creator both are one and the same. Because of this, Islam is just in accordance with the law of nature. Islam provides a realistic Islam provides a realistic plan. Islam provides a realistic approach towards the life. If you are, then there is another point. You have to differentiate between Muslim society and Islamic teachings. It is a fact that there are some perversion in Muslim society. It is a fact. I can admit that there are some perversion in Muslim society. But when you want to judge about Islam, when you want to know what is Islam, then you have to see the teachings of Islam in its scriptures. What I'm saying about the scriptures rather than about the Muslim society. I know that Muslim, I know that Muslim societies, present Muslim society needs some reform, some revival. But as far as the Islamic ideology is concerned, as far as the Islamic teaching is concerned, that is intact. There is no perversion in it. So we have to apply the Islamic teachings again on the Muslim society. We have to bring about reform in Muslim society. So what I'm saying about the true Islamic teachings, original Islamic teachings. So Islamic teachings are intact up to this date. There is no alteration. There is no change in Quran and Hadith. But there are perversions in Muslim society. So we have to reform the society. There is a Hadith, Inna Allah yabasu ala rase kulli mi'at sanatin man yaddidul hadinaha. God will send someone after every 100 years who will revive the Muslim society, who will return the Muslim society again to the Islamic teachings. So this hadith tells us that every society is prone to degeneration. Every society is prone to degeneration. So the, the problem is Muslim society rather than Islamic teachings. So the problem here lies in the present Muslim society and not in the Islamic scriptures or Islamic teachings. We have to reapply the Islamic teachings again on the Muslim society. There are great misunderstandings regarding the status of women in Islam. It is a general misunderstanding that Islam degrades women. Islam discriminates women. This is a grave misunderstanding. I have studied Islam from its original sources. I can say that according to the Islamic teachings, there is no discrimination regarding the status of woman in Islam. Both are equally respectable. Both enjoy the same status. I can say that the formula of Islam in this regard is that both are one. Both are two parts of a single entity. So one can say that here is the formula 1 in 2 and 2 in 1. This is the Islamic formula regarding the status between the two sexes. There is a verse in the Quran. It tells us that first man and first woman were created by the same substance. خَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا. The man and woman both were created by the same substance. So there is no difference in creation. Then in chapter number 3, that is Al Imran, God says, addressing to man and woman, Ba'dukum min ba'd, Ba'dukum min ba'd. You are members one of another. You are members of you are members one of another. This is Quranic verse. Then there is a very relevant hadith, that is saying of the Prophet of Islam. The Prophet of Islam has said about the both sexes, An-Nisa'u shaqaiqur Rajal. Women are like shaqiqa towards men. Shaqiqa means half part of a single unit. For example, if you take an apple and cut it into two equal parts, then every part is a shaqiqa. So according to this hadith, men and women are two equal halves of a single unit. Men, men and women are two equal halves of a single unit. This is the best expression of the status of both sexes. Then there are some other verses which state some difference, like Ar-Rijalu Qawwamun 'ala Nisa. These verses are based on biological differences. You know, the biological studies and psychological studies have established that there is a difference between the two sexes in terms of biology and in terms of psychology. So, by adding this biological fact, you can say that the formula of Islam towards the both sexes is like this: equal in respect, but different in role. And man and woman are equal in respect, but different in role. So the God's plan regarding both sexes is to give respect to the both sexes, but they have different role in society, in family. And this is a law of nature. And this kind of God's scheme you can see everywhere. There is a verse in the Quran, وَمِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَا زَوْجَيْنِ وَمِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَا زَوْجَيْنِ. Everything we created in pairs. Everything we created in pairs. For example, in matters, you see there are negative particle and positive particle. negative particle and positive particle. So in matter, there is also pair system. Then in plant, you see that there are female plant and male plant, male plant and female plant. So in plant world also there is pair system. Then in animal, there are she animal and he animal. So in animal kingdom also there is pair system. So in the case of human being, here you see that the same pair system prevails, man and woman. So this system, which is called Zawjain in the Quran, is everywhere in the world. So it is God's scheme that every species, every part of the universe may work by, by the way of pairs. By pair, I mean that man and woman have two, two different roles in their life. And this role is, according to the natural plan, this role is complementary role rather than equal role. Equal role is out of the nature's plan. According to the nature, both have a complementary role rather than equal role. So this is not the question of respect or status. In terms of status, both are equal. But in terms of role, both are different. Here I would like to refer a very relevant story. In the early period of Islam in Medina, there was a lady, his name was Barira. She was married. Her name was Barira and she was married. Her husband, the name of her husband was Mughis. Then, after some time, Barira wanted separation. So the case was referred to the Prophet of Islam. Prophet of Islam said, "O Barira, I would like to advise you to make adjustment. Try to live with Mughis. Maybe it is good for you." Then Barira asked, "Is it your own? Is it your personal advice, or is it commandment of God?" She directly asked, "Whether is it your personal advice, or is it a command of God?" The Prophet of Islam said, "Is it? It is my own personal advice. It is my personal advice." Barira replied, فَلَا حَاجَةَ لِي إِلَيْهِ. So I don't need Mughis. I don't want to live with Mughis. So she refused to accept the advice of the Prophet. And Prophet separated the marriage. Here you can see that woman in Islam enjoys complete freedom. There is no compulsion, no discrimination. This event is quite clear to illustrate this point. Then there are several other examples. Anyone who has visited Mecca and he has performed Hajj and Umrah, he knows that among other rituals, one compulsory ritual is that anyone who wants to perform Hajj and Umrah, he must walk between two rocks. There is Safa and Marwa, 7 times. So why this walk between Safa and Marwa? It is to imitate a lady. His name was Hajara. So here you can see that everyone is ordered to follow the footstep of a woman, that is Hajara. Here you can see that the principle, ladies first, is very much in the Islamic scheme. Then there are many hadiths that is very clear in this regard. The Prophet of Islam has said, "Khairu mata'i dunya al-mar'atu salihah." The best asset for a believer is a faithful wife. Faithful wife is the best asset, best worldly asset for a woman. Then there is hadith. It tells us that best woman is one who is helper to his husband. Toinahu ala imani. One who helps regarding the faith. This is very important. Helper in matters of faith is very important. A wife is helper in matters of faith is very important. It is not that she provides breakfast or lunch. There is a deeper sense in this hadith. Here I would like to another hadith that may explain this hadith. Aisha was a wife of the Prophet. So she says, this tradition you can find in Sahih al-Bukhari. Aisha says that The Prophet of Islam used to rise early in the morning and pray his morning prayer. So she says that فَإِن كُنْتُ مُسْتَيْقِظَةً فَحَدَّثَنِي. فَإِن كُنْتُ مُسْتَيْقِظَةً فَحَدَّثَني. It means that if I were awakened, he would discuss with me. This is very important. It means that Aisha was an intellectual partner to the Prophet. From this, I have drawn a principle that according to the Islamic teaching, the best expression of the relationship between wife and husband is that both are intellectual partner to each other. Husband and wife, husband and wife both are intellectual partner to each other. I think it is very important. You know, the most important thing for a man or woman is intellectual development. Intellectual development. Man and woman both are born with great capacity. That is the mind. Mind has unlimited potential. There are 100 million, billion particles in every individual brain. But all these particles are in dormant position. This potential is also referred in Quran in these words in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allama Adam al-Asma kulla. This potential is referred in the Quran in these words. Allama Adam al-Asma kulla is very important. So every man and every woman have a great potential. There is mind. Now there is a question how to unfold this potential, how to turn this potential into actual. It is through intellectual exchange. The only way to unfold this potential is intellectual discussion, intellectual exchange, intellectual dialogue. And I think the best partner for the both is their spouses. Husband and wife both are best intellectual partner to each other. So this is the best expression of Islam regarding the present issue. I have written the details of this principle in my book, Aurat Memar Insaniyat. Woman, the builder of humanity. In 3 chapters of this book, I have discussed in detail that how husband and wife can try to turn their potential into actual by making their companion an intellectual partner. This is very important. So I can say that Islam is a religion of nature. Nature or God created both the sexes. In the eyes of God, there is no one is superior or no one is inferior. Al-Khalq wa ayalullah. There are several hadiths that tells us that God loves His creature. God loves man and woman both. So in the creation plan of God, there is no discrimination between the two. So as Islam is a religion of nature, there is no such discrimination. In Islam, it is true that there is a there is a in some sense there is a difference between the two sexes. But these differences have nothing to do with the respect or status. The natural formula of Islam in this regard is that both are equal in respect, but their role is different in society. And it is very natural. You know, every human being is born with different qualities. Every man is Mr. Different, and every woman is Miss Different. In conduct, studies conducted in psychology, it is now established that difference is a part of life. Difference is a part of life. So it is a fact that God created both the sexes as Mr. Different and Miss Different. So the creation plan of God is to give them different role. Man and woman both are equally respectable, but according to their nature, both have different role in civilization, in human progress, in society. So it is wrong to say that Islam degrades woman. No. Islam gives equal respect to the both sexes, but according to Islam, both have to play different roles in their life. Then there is a very important hadith. This hadith addresses to husband. You know, when a man and woman are together in marriage and start living together, then sometimes there are differences, controversies. So this hadith says, فَإِنْ كَرِهَ مِنْهَا شَيْئًا رَضِيَ مِنْهَا الْآخَرِ. This hadith addresses to husband that if you find that in your wife there are some dislikes, so you have to see You have to see the things on a greater, in a deeper sense. Because God created man and woman with great potentials. In some respect, maybe your wife is not fulfilling your desires, but in some other sense, you will find that she is very competent, very, very competent. So it is also a very important principle of successful marriage. According to the nature, no man or woman or ideal person. There is no such thing as ideal husband or ideal wife. Every human being is less than ideal. So both are less than ideal. So this principle is applied to the both. Both have to understand, have to see the things in a wider sense. If they judge their spouses by the ideal yardstick, both will fall into despair. So it is best formula for a successful marriage life that both must admit that both are less than ideal. Neither man nor woman is ideal person. So when both will accept this natural fact, both will be able to adjust and have a successful married life. Then about the role of woman in the society, I think that there is no discrimination in this regard. The only thing is that both have different qualities, both have different temperament, both have different potential. So it is but natural that both must be given that kind of role which is quite which is quite appropriate, which is in accordance with their qualities. So this is a settlement or adjustment. It is not discrimination. For example, there are two different roles. One is engineering role, and other one is teaching role. So if you find that man is better for engineering role, so you have to appoint man as an engineer. And if you find that woman is better in teaching job, so you have to appoint woman in the teaching job. So it is a division of labor. It is not discrimination. It is simply division of labor. Even there are differences among man and man, and among women and women. So difference is found not only among sexes but among individuals also. So you have to be realist. Islamic approach is realistic approach. Islamic approach in this regard is a realistic approach. For example, according to the recent studies in psychology, it is after a survey, it is proved that women are somewhat emotional compared to men. So, if you, and it is a scientific fact proved after great surveys, after long researches. So, if women are emotional according to their nature, they are not very good in army, in military services. According to this nature, women are not very good in military services. So this kind of difference is not based on discrimination. It is based on natural qualities. As man and woman both have different qualities, different natural qualities. So it is a realistic approach. It is a realism to differentiate in the role. So the formula of Islam about men and women is based on this principle that equal in respect but different in role. This is the Islamic formula regarding the status of man and woman in Islam.